Guys, I'm Crimson Pharaoh, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at artifacts. So I'll open up that tab right now. We can go in there and just see about that. I had a subscriber ask, what artifacts, like just an artifact guide basically. And artifacts are pretty simple. They're definitely worth just getting simple vanilla ones, so just the basic white ones from B1 or B2 here early on, because they're kind of hard. The Steel Fortress and the Punisher script, there's no reason to rush a team. Of course, the Dot team works just fine for the Steel Fortress, and the Tricaru team works just fine for Punisher script, if your Tricaru team is good enough. This is easier to do with bad runs for the Dot team, but you definitely need your Tricaru running efficiently to pull off the Punisher script. This boss hits pretty hard. So we'll take a look at the artifacts here. The major differences is that this has damage dealt on certain elements here, and this one. And then when you come to the type artifact, it has crit damage per each skill, so 1 through 4. And I would say for that particular thing, increasing the damage here is better for PvE content, so things like Rift Beast, where you're going to be hitting the same element the full time anyway. Good for Chaos Dungeon for like a Verd, extra damage dealt on fire, extra damage dealt on light or dark, based on where you're using him. Same thing for Lucian, things that hit harder into water for Giants is great. Things that hit harder into wind for the Steel Fortress is great if you're using him on that team. But yeah, I would say this is more PvE focused, the element-based damage. And for PvP, so arena and guild battles, things where you really want to end the battle quickly, things like this are better. So something like a Lucian would get more from skill 3 crit damage with Amp Magic. If you can get this to 18 to 24% or something, that's a ton of extra crit damage for Amp Magic, and you're gonna shred your enemies that much easier. It can help make up for arena towers down. That's a great thing about the artifacts, is that you can actually make up for losses that you've taken from just not having maxed arena towers. It really actually can help a lot, boost the damage up for particular things. And then obviously in the end game, you're just going to have all those maxed anyway, and then this is just additive on top of that. Things like co-op damage are really, really good for the Verta Heal and Tricaru team. I'll show an artifact like that's really good for Verd. So we'll go into artifact artifact management, and I think it was here. Yeah, so something like this where it's additional damage by percentage of attack is really good, and then co-op damage here is really, really good. So some stuff like that where it's already on attack for Verd is perfect for him for the Tricaru team that he's running in. Things that look better on supports, we can hop into like an HP plus type thing. Obviously that's probably not great. This would be like, I don't know what this would be, probably nothing. I have a lot of vanilla stuff in here. We can look at particular monsters, so I guess we can look at this. Damage dealt on wind doesn't make any sense. Getting the extra 2% crit damage doesn't make a whole lot of sense on a Tricaru. Damage dealt by addition of attack, it'd be better if that was defense, because they have to be so high anyway. And then extra crit damage, but he's not critting much anyway, so he's not really getting anything here other than this. But early on, that's really what you need. You just need the basic thing here, and if you can pick some 1 or 2 substats up where it's like, okay, that's awesome, I got that, then that's what matters. But really just the main stat is what you're going for most of the game. Even here, accuracy on skill 1 would be great. 12% more accuracy would be fantastic. But that's okay. We've got some skill 1 crit damage and some co-op crit damage, so that's really very nice for a Tricaru or an Ikaru. Damage taken from fire, not really that necessary here. I would say the damage reduction skills, again, are significantly more important for PvP content. Really in PvE, you just want to deal damage. So yeah, that's here. I think if you go to then this one, though, It's just this. So you do lose that here. The type artifact only has crit damage taken reduced, whereas the attribute artifact has damage taken from specific elements, and that's better for, again, PvP stuff. You can put like damage taken on fire reduced on like a windy or something if you're running a tractor Lulu windy team. If you guys have that Guild War team set up, it's actually really, really good for Guild Siege as well on the 4-star bases. Things like damage taken from light reduced is pretty nice for the Light Rift Beast, but again, I would probably prioritize just extra damage, because then you're beating it faster anyway. You don't really want to sit in the Rift Beasts, but you don't want to sit in a lot of content for the most part. So I would say this is more like really even more just defense-based stuff, like Skogels, Vigors, Lulus, Molongs, Pernas, stuff like that. That's going to be sitting in guild content. It's going to benefit the most from that. I would say personally. I always prioritize damage over anything else, though. This one here increases stats. I believe it's the same thing on the type and the attributes. Yep, same thing both ways. This is good. I mean, getting extra stats based on lost HP here is just helpful. You know, it's probably more of a, you know, it just depending on the unit. Like, this is great for anything that does attack. This is great for anything like a support or maybe a defense-based damage dealer, and this is good for literally everything in the game. You don't want this to screw up your turn orders in Chaos Dungeons, so maybe be careful about this particular one in Chaos Dungeons. The increasing skills are also the same from attribute to type artifact. Really simple here. If you have the buff on, you get 3 to 5% extra. If you can get this up, like you got maxed rolls, you get like 25% attack up effect. So I think that brings you up to 75% if you had an attack buff, extra attack. So that's pretty cool. Same thing here. Maybe not the best thing really for any situation. This can work on the Karus for the Trikaru team because they do a self attack buff, and then they have the counter attack damage as well. That's another thing. Looking into counter attack damage on your Trikaru team is actually really good. Same thing for the Panda Warriors. Really very strong on extra counter attack damage. Things like this, I feel like it's pretty basic. I think it's more beneficial to have extra crit damage when there's more enemy HP, especially in PvP content, because if you're trying to one-shot, it's going to have max health anyway. This is less useful, and I think that's why it scales higher too, why you're getting extra crit damage for when there's less HP, because you're just going to kill the enemy unit anyway. So they're both decent. It's fine. I mean, if you're sitting in Giants early on and you're able to get this on some damage-dealing artifact, you know, it'll help you finish out the Giant faster, stuff like that. But yeah, this is better. I run the Trikaru as well on the Ikarus, whatever I can get that on, because it's just a good thing. And then on turn, one target crit damage, I would say, is probably the worst. Well, okay, bomb damage is the worst unless you have a Ciara or a different bomber. But this is like the second worst, or arguably these two, because a lot of units don't counterattack. A lot of things aren't teaming up, but this just isn't that useful. It's better to just have something else, getting extra crit damage or extra damage based on the element or, you know, whatever. And that one, additional damage artifacts in here. Additional damage based on HP, attack, defense, and speed. Very straightforward. If you have something that you want going fast and dealing damage, like a Savannah, for example, is going to benefit greatly from this one here. This one, an Ikaru, this one, Lucian, this one, you know, Vigor, Skogel, things like that. So this is really just simple based on the type of the unit that you're using. And I think that is the same thing on the type as well. It should be. Oh, no, that's not there. Is that not there? Oh, it is there. Okay, yeah, that is there. So an additional thing that the type artifacts do have is increased recovery and increased accuracy. So This stuff is actually pretty good. The accuracy, I think it's pretty good at least. You know, you can shirk some of the accuracy off of a different rune and get some extra speed or health or attack something on, and have the accuracy in artifacts actually if there's only one skill that needs to land. So that's pretty nice. The recovery is really just for healers though. I don't think this stacks with any life draining ability that you could also get on an artifact, and I don't think it's stacks with that vampiric effect that Ehrgar puts on other units. I think it's just simply if you're healing something. So there is that, and that is on the type artifact. Back to here, we just went through that. This one has, yeah, this one is like just flat out more, like literally just attribute, and you're taking more or less damage there. The type, you're doing either crit damage or, you know, healing or need more accuracy. Like it's kind of, I think they kind of set it up that way intentionally, just to have things that way, if that makes sense. But life drain is here, HP when revived, and attack bar when revived. These two are basically useless. If you're running a Nana in your team, maybe. I mean, these just aren't that useful. It's kind of like bomb damage. It's really almost never useful. Life drain is pretty good though on any attacker really, and then the attribute stuff, you have the same exact thing here. So just walking through what's different in each thing one more time. You have damage dealt on elements, damage taken from elements, and yeah, that's kind of what the attribute ones are for. I think that was the only thing different there. Right? Yeah. And then type is a single unit doing more damage with that skill or taking less crit damage from anything. So I think these are worth more, personally, the attribute artifacts. And it's nice that the dot team is easier to build than the Tricaru team, because then you can do Steel Fortress easier. These ones, I mean, if you're doing a damage dealer, I would try to get the crit damage you need on something, co-op if you need it. Crit damage is there's more enemy max HP, and stuff like life drain. Life drain is really good for PvE content. Not so amazing for PvP, but it's still useful. So hopefully that helped. But again, early on, really you're just looking for vanilla artifacts, like just whatever's here, just trying to get the correct main substat, or the main stat or whatever, and increase that on your units. Like, I have some units that don't even have artifacts. Rauk, he doesn't have runes either. Tattoo, Soth, I mean, he's running shield. He should have HP on there. It would help him greatly. But I just don't have those on yet. The Dryads, yeah. Melias don't have them. I did put Lucians on. Bella doesn't have any. And yeah, so really early on, I would say into late game, I would start looking into artifacts, but just get the vanilla stuff, just get the main stat you need, and call it a day. It's not worth looking into. They're incredibly expensive to upgrade as well. They're worse than 6-star runes. They can fail just as many times. I feel like they fail more. So yeah, I would just stick with vanilla ones as long as you can, and worry about the substats more when you get into late game and you're trying to get your PvE teams doing like 10 million damage and Rift Beasts, and getting your even fight Karu team together if you're past Determination and Guard runes, things like that, and then just for PvP. So yeah, anyway, that's all for this video. I did build my Lucian, just so you guys know. I'll do a video tomorrow. If you made it to the end of this one, I'm doing a video with Lucian in the dot team tomorrow, because he has helped. But yeah, anyway, that's all for this one. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see everybody next time.